So my name is Cal and I'm building a startup completely from scratch. The idea? A dating app where you actually talk. That's about all I can reveal for now though. My goal is to document every single line of code written from start to finish, the successes and the struggles, as authentically as possible. I wish the people that built Tinder had a series like this, and my hope is that one day my app will become an actual competitor to Tinder. So thank you so much for clicking on this video, and I hope you enjoy it. Today we're gonna continue the work on the app. So this is where we're at. We have the voice animation. We have some buttons here that shouldn't really be there. Right now there's one thing that I'm a little bit unsure of. Like when you press join channel is when we actually join the channel, and that's where we can get the audio for the waveform animation. But really this should probably be on one page, and then when you press join channel, you should go to another page that has the waveform animation. I think we're going to do that today. We're going to build out the whole thing that goes from this original page, the home page or whatever it's going to be, to the actual call page. And we're going to push a new page onto the screen, and that's the screen that we're going to design and also implement the functionality of actually opening up. I'm not sure if we can access the audio data if we're on another screen, or if we can do a call when we're on another screen, like how that all works when we do it. So let's try to look at our code and see if we can figure it out. Basically, the logic for the actual phone call, like joining and leaving the phone call, should that be on? It should probably be on a different page, actually, I realize. This should probably just be like a button that takes us to the page, and if we get to the page, then the phone call should be joined. I need to think about this. Hello? 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 Okay, so now we basically made the page, which is really good. We have a leave channel button, so we can just go back and we're out of this channel, and then we can go back in and we're back in to the conversation. And we have the little prompts here for our conversation. So would you rather go skiing or snorkeling? And then we have, would you rather eat pizza or burgers? We have the page pretty much set up, I think. It's a bit strange because on the phone, it completely goes all over the place. So I don't know if that's a bug or what that is. Strange. I'm not really sure what's happening, but sometimes there's waveform indications on the screen, but they go way above the actual circle. So I don't know what that is or how that happens, because it doesn't happen on the simulator. Really, I don't think that it should be doing anything on this phone, because this phone doesn't seem to receive, or it shouldn't really be receiving any audio, because the microphone on the simulator on the computer doesn't send anything. So I don't know why it goes crazy, but I'm just going to ignore that for now. But the next part of this is we want to have some sort of way to leave the conversation, and we don't want to have it say leave channel, because in the app the way that it's going to work is you're not going to join a specific channel. You're going to get randomized with someone, and then you're going to have a little conversation, but there has to be some way for you to bail out of the conversation. So there has to be like a hang up button or something. I haven't really decided how that's going to work. Maybe I have to think about that a little bit. It should be like a ditch button where you're like, okay, I'm ditching this conversation. Maybe I need to draw this in order to understand it myself. Okay, so we can start by just designing that button a little bit, which we can do in Adobe XD. Okay, so design-wise, I'm not really sure what would make the most sense. I want the users to be really aware that they can leave at any point. It sounds like I'm making a crazy app. I'm not really, but it still has to be a feature that you can leave a conversation. That has to be available. I think the way that would make most sense is to make it similar to a regular phone call where you can just hang up. And I think most people recognize the red symbol for hanging up. I feel like it would make sense to keep this red, even though it kind of stands out and makes the whole design not that beautiful. But I don't really know where to place it, because I feel like it needs to be big so that it's obvious, like, okay, I can just press this button and I'm out. But again, like if we move it somewhere like up here, that will look better, but it also maybe is less obvious for people. So maybe it's not as clear that you can just leave if you press that button. I don't really know. I'm not a UX specialist, so I don't know that that's a really good idea, but I don't want it to take over the entire screen. I feel like we already have a few things that kind of clutter the screen. Having a big leave button might not be the best idea. Yeah, I think that makes sense. The only thing is I just realized that this comes as a one, like it's a pair. So it's not one button here and one waveform thing. It's just I add both of those things onto the screen on top of this other screen, if that makes sense. Which means that right now I can't separate these two. I can't be like, okay, this goes up here because the design of this looks like that. I could work around that by just, how do I do this? Okay, so far we have this page basically done. Maybe it doesn't look great. Like I said, I'm not a UI or UX designer, so bear with me. But this will be the basic setup for this page. If you're tired of the conversation, you can press leave. So the idea is that it's going to be a timer essentially. You're going to have like 5 minutes per conversation. If you decide to press leave before the end of that timer, then I guess you'll have to end up in some sort of like waiting room for the next person to join. I realize that this is hard to explain without you actually knowing what the full idea of the app is, but that's the idea. You're going to be in a conversation for, let's say, 5 minutes, and when those 5 minutes is up, you get into a different room with a different person, and then you're going to talk to them for 5 minutes, and that's how it's going to go. But if you want to leave before then the next person that's queued up for you will be in a different conversation probably. You won't just be able to go straight into that conversation. You have to wait for that person to finish that conversation, and then you can join that conversation, which is, I think, the best solution that I've come up with for this problem, which is just a just in case. Just in case you leave, then you'll have a waiting room. If you do press leave, then I also want there to be some sort of rating system that you can do. Like, let's say that you talk to someone and they're like hostile or something, then I want there to be some sort of reporting or rating system so that you can actually report this person for being hostile or offensive in some sort of way. The idea from the start was that I wanted to have some sort of bank ID verification, which is something that we have in Sweden. I think this exists all over the world, but it's basically you identify yourself, so you're actually like accountable for your actions on the app. But seeing as that is something that I don't know how easy it is to start doing that. I think it's actually quite a process to start doing that, and maybe you have to pay for it, I think. That means that the second best thing is going to have to be that the users can report other users, and you sign up with a phone number, which is another thing that I think I'm going to be able to add. I'm not sure, but I think I'm going to be able to add that. Then when someone leaves and then they report you for like, well, this person was screaming offensive words at me or threatening me or whatever, you could have a rating system after you leave, have some sort of system at least to make sure that the users can actually feel safe on the platform and know that people can't just do whatever they want. There will be some sort of accountability on this app. And then you're going to get into the next conversation after that. But it has to be a pretty fast thing, because let's say that you leave after like 4 minutes and 49 seconds, and you only have 10 seconds until the next call, then you have to be it has to be possible to be pretty fast. Oh my God, this is actually difficult, I just realized. Let's say that the idea is 5 conversations with 5 people, 5 minutes with each conversation, and then it ends. What if you spend 4 minutes and 49 seconds talking to this person, and then at the end of it, they start like being super strange and doing weird things, and you leave the conversation and you start to report them, then you'll have 10 seconds until the next person joins your conversation. So either you'll have to have a system that's so easy to do that you just report someone and we ban them from the platform straight away, which isn't that great, I don't think, because that will mean that Some people might get banned for no reason because some people would just report to be stupid. What that means is that we have to have some sort of system where people can actually add some details about why am I reporting this person, but it has to be fast enough so that the other person that's going to join this conversation doesn't have to then sit and wait for you to finish reporting for 10 minutes and then you'll join the conversation. So I don't know how that's going to work. For me to be able to talk to someone, there has to be someone else out there ready to talk to me. Okay, I'm going to say it's going to be somewhat similar to things like Omegle and Chat Roulette. I've never actually used either of those. Actually, I could just Google this, but how I think it works, how do I explain this? So there's 3 users on there. I log on, now we're 4 users. I am one of them. I connect with this user. And while we're connected and talking, these 2 are also talking. If we don't regulate how much time you spend together, then this will happen a lot, where people will be like waiting for someone else to pop off a call so that they can connect. I think that was a pretty good metaphor with the hands. But my solution to this is that we have a set time for the calls and each conversation is 5 minutes. Like you get 5 minutes per person. So that means that we have 5 minutes here. The 5 minutes starts at the same time for all users. It means that once that 5 minutes starts, it starts for both or all 4 users. Then once the 5 minutes is up, it just switches and then you can do this connection as well. So there's going to be, I don't know how many conversations, I have to think about that more properly, but that would basically solve the fact that no one's going to end up just waiting or hanging around. What if I want to leave the conversation? In this space, what do we do? Like, how do we deal with that? It has to be some sort of wait screen, but there's lots of issues that come with that because people will game, I think, any sort of system and people will do bad things, I think. So it's always good to just try to be prepared for it and try to think of like, how could someone exploit or do something not good with a system like this. And one way to do that would be to figure out that, well, if there's only 10 seconds left in this 5-minute session that we're in, then even if I say the most horrible stuff to this person, they will only have like 10 seconds to report me before the call switches and they move on to the next person. So then the question is, how do we deal with that? We need to have a system for it. I just don't know how to make it work. I do read all the comments, so if you have any suggestions for this, even though there's a strong possibility I might have already moved on from this by the time that you see this video, I would really appreciate it because I've thought about this before and I don't really know a solution to it. Today, most of the day is going to be spent on the front end and just designing the app. I need to spend some time just figuring out what is this going to look like and how is the actual user flow going to be. Like, where do I start and where will I end up as a user and what's the journey going to be like? So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so I think I've got a pretty good looking user flow here. I spent too much time probably on it and there's lots of tools out there that I could have used for it. That would make it way simpler, but here's what I made. This is going to be the user flow. So you start out here, you connect to the app or you connect to a call. Then you get to the call screen where the other user is. And there you'll have a timer, let's say a 5-minute timer. You'll have the questions, which are these questions. Then you'll have the leave button. So what happens next is one of two things. Either you press leave, so on when you press leave, something will happen, or the timer runs out, that I call on timer end. So here we split into 2 different cases. On leave, when the users press leave, what happens then is you can choose to report the user that you're leaving the conversation from. We'll have to figure something out for that, but that's going to be the use case for when you press the leave button. The other one is when the timer ends. And the idea with the app is that the picture of the person will be blurred when you're talking to them. So you won't see or know who you're talking to. You'll get like this blurred outline where you kind of get an idea of like something, but you shouldn't really be seeing who it is. You should only get a name and hear their voice. But when the timer ends, you get a different screen, and that's where this photo, this background picture, will be revealed, and you'll see who you've been talking to for the past 5 minutes. And then you can decide to either like or not like that person. And then you'll move on to a wait screen, which is where you're waiting for the next call to happen. And then once the wait screen is over, you move back to the connection thing and you start the process over. And that's going to be the user flow for a call in the app. And I think this was a good thing to do, just to kind of get an idea of like, what are we trying to do? Things that need to be done. We can actually do a to-do list now. So to do. So for now we can have just a wait screen that we create so that once a person presses leave or the timer ends, we straight away end up on the wait screen. That's a really easy way to just bypass some of these things, because these things will require some interaction with the database, which the wait screen and this other stuff doesn't need right now. So the wait screen is just really easy to create, I think, because it's just going to be a wait screen. These screens will be a little bit more tricky. There'll be a little bit more to them. Okay, so this is about what we need to do. First of all, there's something that we need to do on Agora. We need to figure out how to get it to production levels. Like right now I have to regenerate a token manually on the website every single day. There is some way to automate that, I guess, or some system they have for it. Once that is done, right now what I'm imagining is that the channel name is going to be unique. So maybe if user A and user B are going to be connected in a call, then the channel will be named AB. My phone, my app can't figure out who I'm going to be connected with. It has to be done on the back-end side, I think. We don't really need to get the user ID, do we?
What can I help with?
All right, I'm trying to reset everything. For some reason, the project connects to an old app ID for the client app. And I've been trying for the past like 3 hours now, trying to get that to reset to a new app ID to get the backend to work properly. I can't get it to work, so I'm gonna come back tomorrow and hopefully it will work then. There's no time to be wasted today. I actually spent, I don't know if I spent like 8 hours yesterday trying to get what I did in the last video that you saw, trying to get that to work. What happens is that the client app ID that I have for Amplify or whatever on my local machine, that does not correspond to the actual client app ID on the AWS website. It's an old one that I had for another app. I've tried so many different things and it doesn't update. I don't know. Like I've literally spent all of yesterday, like probably 8 hours, trying to get this to work. But anyway, I'm gonna try to get it to work in 3 hours. If I don't get it to work today, then we'll come back tomorrow and I'll try again. Because I think at a certain point, when you just sit and do the same thing over and over and over again, the more hours I sit and try to do this and don't get anywhere, the less I keep track of what I've actually tried and what I haven't tried. If you've done the same thing like 15 times, but changed one thing here and there, and you kind of sporadically or randomly changing things, just trying to get something to work, you end up in a position where you don't know what you've tested and you don't know what combinations you've tested of different things, which just makes it sort of impossible, I think, to come up with an actual solution. So I'll set a timer for 3 hours. Let's hope that we get somewhere today. All right, this doesn't really make any sense to me. I'm gonna try to rebuild the whole thing in a new folder. So I'm gonna create a new Flutter project and just redo the whole thing from scratch. And maybe that will work. Okay, so I think it works now. What I realized is maybe I can just skip the Amplify console thing because it seems like I don't necessarily need it. Either way, the app works now. If I run it, you can see that we actually have a user now that's been created. So we have user pools, identity pools. They're connected to a client app ID, which is the app ID that we have. So yeah, I don't know, it seems like it works. I guess the only thing that the Amplify seems to help with, I think, is that you don't have to run the sandbox environment locally. Or maybe it's actually a server, I don't know. I just realized that maybe it's a server. Maybe that's what it is. Because what I've noticed lately is that I don't have to run this command, the npx sandbox thing. I don't need to run that in order to be able to log in and create users. And maybe that is because it's connected to the Amplify app thing. All right, we have a sandbox that's deployed 3 minutes ago. What happens if... Actually, let's try just to create a new app with this new project and just see what happens. I don't think this will break anything. I think it would just maybe work or maybe not. Most likely it won't work, but at least we can try it. It's been about 3 hours now, so I'm gonna call it a day here and come back tomorrow. We will wait here until this finishes. There won't be a cliffhanger in this video because I want to see if this works now. Because if it does, then it's basically a miracle. It worked. I'm very surprised about this. Like, why on earth did it work now? I literally just created a new Git repository, or copied the entire project into a new folder, created a new Git repository, and redid the whole Amplify installation thing, and now it deploys. Not really sure about why that. All right, either way, we're gonna call it a day, come back tomorrow and figure out what we've done here. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.